Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Strathallan webinar on Zoom. Tonight, we are really pleased to have another couple of Scottish superstar rugby players with us, Matt Fagerson and George Horne. Really appreciate your time, guys. There's a massive crowd out there, all dying to ask questions. So if you've got questions, you know what the drill is. If you've been on this before, just go to the chat page and just put your questions up, and we'll try our very best as we get through the evening to answer them. So welcome, boys. Really good to see you both. Just a little update. Maybe George, we'll go to you first. What's happening with you at the moment?
So yeah, I'm currently injured at the moment, which is a shame, especially since seeing the boys doing so well on the weekend. But it's coming along nicely. I had an operation on my foot about 5 weeks ago now. So yeah, I'm back into the full swing of rehab and back doing strength and conditioning work. So another 7 or 8 weeks and hopefully I'll be back running about.
Awesome. Matt, what are you up to at the moment?
Yeah, I'm just in camp at the moment. We have a day off today, so managed to get in the pool and have a few donuts and stuff as recovery. So that'll be nice. But yeah, no, just enjoying it and leading into the weekend.
Any sledging?
No sledging today, no. I walk through the snow, but no sledging.
Oh, I thought there'd been a forwards via the back snowball fight somewhere. That'd been good. So tonight we're really looking at that kind of journey from Strathallan to Scotstoun, as it were. So let's go to George first. Give us your memories, some of the highlights, things that you fondly kind of look back on in terms of Strathallan when you were here as a player.
God, so many fond memories, to be honest. Just obviously it was a massive change moving from school back in Cooper, coming in and boarding and stuff, and yeah, just kind of tried to chuck myself into everything and absolutely loved it. There's a lot going on, and yeah, I just tried to take advantage of all the stuff that was on your doorstep, whether it was sport, rugby, tennis, hockey to a lesser extent, that as well as all the other activities that Strath offers. So yeah, fondest memories probably were playing rugby. We had obviously a really talented team that year, my final couple of years. So that was great. And then yeah, just kind of day-to-day life, spending a lot of time with friends. What else? Prep time, used to love doing my homework. It was great. So yeah, honestly, just I look back and see the stuff going on now on Instagram and Twitter, and yeah, it just brings back so many good memories.
Awesome, great, nice plug for the academics as well. So
yeah, of course,
the staff will be appreciating that. There's questions already coming in. You have to watch what you say, Matt. So already, what's your favourite donut? So you'll have to answer that.
Favourite donut? Oh, the Biscoff Krispy Kreme. It's a go-to.
Right, that means absolutely nothing to me. I just go bog standard sugar and whatever else is that. So what about you, Matt? When did you come to Strath, and what are your kind of memories of Strathallan?
Yeah, I came to Strath, would have been fourth form. Xander had already been there for a couple of years, and I came from the high school Dundee. And I think I had my second cousin, Alistair Burnett. He was at Strath initially, so it was quite an easy transition for me coming straight in, knowing a few of the boys as well, obviously through a couple of the pathway stuff. So yeah, no, it was quite easy. I went into Nickel, which gets a bad rep for being the strict house, but yeah, I think my fondest memory is probably for me, like house basketball was always up there. That was pretty big. Mr. Fleming was pretty keen on that, and yeah, just being around the place and, as George said, having everything on your doorstep, whether it was, I was never too much into the hockey. I got chucked in goals.
Right.
Yeah, dabbled in a bit of tennis, a bit of football, and yeah, having everything there and coming into the gym during free periods and stuff. There's just so much going on, and yeah, I love my time there.
Yeah, I think I did remember seeing you playing tennis once. I think agricultural was maybe the description.
That wasn't as good as George. George was always pretty good at tennis.
Well, George had you had a little win, did you not? Did you not win the North Junior Championship or something?
That was before I came to school. I actually started playing, and then I knew Tommy Ogilvie from when I played tennis when I was about 11 or 12. And when I came back, he got me back into it. So he knew me as a bit of a riot kid on the court. I was flinging my racket and shouting and swearing. So I managed to calm down a little. Obviously, that wasn't allowed going to school. So yeah, it was good actually. It was good. It got me back into it. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Big Tommy was always keen to get you on the court. He used to chat to me all the time. From training, is he playing this week?
I know.
Yeah, it's on that. Some good questions coming in. There's loads of them flooding in now. Good one here. What do you think about the red card at the weekend for Ireland? Was that justified? On Peter Romani.
Yeah.
What do you think as a back rower?
Yeah, I think they reviewed it on the TMO and clear forearm to the face. I think he gets away with a lot of cheap shots. So yeah, it was good that I got picked up and changed the course of the game, really.
Have you been on the end of any of those cheap ones from him?
Not from him, no. I've played, and he's not been playing the couple of times that I've played Munster, but yeah, he's got a bit of a reputation, I think.
Fair card, George, do you think?
I think so, yeah, especially nowadays with all the kind of safety around, especially head injuries. You've got to try and keep players safe, and it's tough because at the same time you want to be brutal and accurate, the clean out and try and get quick ball, but when it comes at the expense of safety, and especially around the head, yeah, I think everyone would agree, probably, maybe not Ireland fans, that it was a red card.
I've got one question here. Where's the George Horne poster? Unfortunately, we could only find one of Matt. If I could have found one of you, buddy, it'd have been up there. You can bet your dog. But
tell you what, I'm glad you couldn't find it.
That's still left there from last week. So that wasn't done on purpose. Xander thought that was to keep up. We put it up as a bit of a joke, but he wanted to keep it there.
That was one of the better ones from the photo shoot as well.
Oh yeah, you're looking a bit kind of mysterious there, mate. You've definitely worked the camera a little bit on the lens.
Have you managed to wangle yourself an office now, Hendo?
No, this is not mine.
You're renting. Yeah, I thought JT lent you.
I'm up in. I'm still stuck in a cupboard, as you can remember. This is up in Marketing. It's very salubrious up here. It's
wow,
very different to where I live. It's like a kind of thing at the end of the garden that I'm in at the moment. Okay, let's go for a question. Oh, here's an interesting one. So, with both of you having played internationally for the full team, if you got one player from the England team on the Scotland team, who would it be? George, I'll go to you first.
Vunipola, Billy, number 8.
Really?
No.
Very good.
I was just
that's you, Matt.
Oh God, that's a tough question. I don't want to offend anyone. Who would I pick? Not going off the weekend's performance, but
no.
Well, I suppose Maro Itoje, he winds me up as a player, but he's pretty effective. You know, I think he can do pretty much everything. So yeah, he'd be pretty useful. I'd say.
Okay, good stuff, Matt.
That's a tricky one. Cal Sinclair, maybe. He's pretty.
Yeah.
Nah,
he's a pretty scary guy. If I was field, I think he'd be one that I'd be worried about. He's definitely from that. Good. Listen, we'll come back to. Let's just go straight from Strath. Then we've talked about some of those memories. What about that transition? Then you left school. What was your first thing? What were you even thinking about? Were you thinking there was a career in rugby for you? I mean, a lot of the path there is kind of laid, but there's no guarantees. So what kind of things were you thinking about in terms of leaving school and the security of perhaps going into professional sport and heading to, well, you both headed to Glasgow, which was great in terms of that. Matt, we'll go with you on this one first. Give George a bit.
I sort of did my exams in my last year, and then Glasgow had their pre-season. So I sort of came straight from school, didn't get any 6-year holiday, which was a shame, but went straight from school doing that pre-season with the academy and the Glasgow team. So for me, it was sort of just it was quite simple, really, just going from one to the other. But I think the big sort of step up came when the season sort of started, and I was booted to the academy. We used to train at Broadwood, and it's basically sort of get yourself in the right physical shape, to come and train with the first team, play well for Glasgow Hawks, and which was the team I was aligned to at the time. And yeah, we sort of just get yourself in the right place to, be effective when you come in and if you're asked to train with the full squad. So yeah, that was sort of my transition.
And club rugby, because there's always big arguments around club rugby now and the Super Six and all this kind of stuff. But for you at that time, club rugby?
Oh, it was a massive stepping stone, I think. You're playing week in, week out, and against some quality opposition. Glasgow obviously have and Edinburgh have the pro release, so you're playing against professionals from other clubs and guys your same age, and it was a great way to develop. You'd come away from training with Glasgow throughout the week, and then do the club training on the Tuesday and the Thursday nights, and get some game time. And game time was a crucial thing. There's so much you can learn training. So yeah, no, it was massive in terms of development.
Brilliant. George, what about you?
Yeah, I guess I took a kind of different route to becoming pro. I left school and went straight to uni full time in Edinburgh. So for the first year, I was kind of involved with the Institute of Sport as it was back then. But as a first year uni student, I kind of didn't get the balance maybe quite right with enjoying myself and trying to turn up for meetings with psychologists and S&C gym and skill sessions. It was all just a bit much. So I actually got dropped completely out of the Institute of Sport in my second year at uni. And I was just playing for Curry and being a student really until halfway through that year when we started under 20s. I got picked for that again. And that was when I first moved to scrum half in my second year of under 20s. And yeah, I got invited to train with Glasgow after the Six Nations and kind of just picked up from there. I got an academy contract at the end of that year and ended up going down to London Scottish to try and get a bit more game time, which was great for me, as a new scrum half. Just getting game time at that kind of level was massive for my career and something that I think was really beneficial. So after that, then moved up and went on the Sevens for a year, which again was absolutely amazing. Great experience, traveling the world, playing in some of the coolest places, and just another step up in standard. And I think Sevens, well, just the amount of boys that have come through the Sevens that have gone on to play professionally just shows and speaks volumes for how useful it is as a kind of development tool. So I had a great time there, and then it was after that I've got signed pro with Glasgow, and when Dave came in, kind of got my first few games, and it's gone all right since then, I guess.
Good stuff. Right, listen, I'll go to the questions now. I'll try and get these quick fire ones, so you don't have to have big answers. Matt, have you ever played against Xander?
I don't think I have. I think just training, really.
Right, thank goodness for that. That means you're still pals then.
Yeah.
George, what was your best beep test result?
Beep test. I don't know. Beep test is a bit old school nowadays. I was always quite good at fitness. I don't know what's good. Like maybe level 18 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I would go for that. I always remember going through to Heriot Watt. I think it was Gav Lowe. And there was a certain person from the Scottish Rugby who shall remain nameless. And he turned to me and he says, "Watch this, Gav Lowe, take this." And I just looked at him and I said, 10 bob says, "We Geordie will run him into the ground." So the 50p was duly put down on the thing, and it just went and it went and it went. And the one thing that assured me, because I was beginning to wonder, because Gav Lowe was a fit guy as well.
Yeah.
It was getting towards the end, and you were just back and forward, just looking from line to line. And Gav Lowe looked across at you, and I went, "Oh, I've got the money. That's it.
That's it.
One more run, and he was out." So I took the 50p and proved the point. So, but you ran a ridiculous thing that day, and you were still young. Things you need to probably be a bit older to really get good scores and stuff. Anyway, which player in the Scotland team do you most look up to? Both of you. Matt, we'll go with you first. Who do you most look up to?
Professionally wise, Richie Gray's probably one of the big ones. He's came into Glasgow in the last year, and his sort of attention to detail, and he does a lot of prehab, which is just like the sort of the band work and the warming up stuff. He does a lot of that before the session, and he's really good on his recovery, and he knows his stuff. So yeah, he's probably obviously a British and Irish Lion as well. So he's probably one of the ones I look up to at the moment.
Good stuff, George. For you,
I'd say probably Stuart McInally. I'd never knew him at all before kind of going into camp, and yeah, he just strikes a great balance, like Matt says, of being a professional, but also away from rugby. He's just a great guy, someone who's always good to chat to, and yeah, on the field he's been pretty amazing as well. So yeah, I say Rambo.
Yeah, we had him on last week. Came over really well, and he's a great guy. I first kind of met Rambo the first year we went to Valladolid, when Valladolid was a place took them. Lots of guys went on that trip. Jimmy Johnson, Dougie Fife, quite a few. Who else was on that? A few other Glasgow boys.
Just name dropping all your prodigies, is it?
No. These were all the boys. We just went in the second. We went in the second week. There was a bunch in the first week, and we went in the second week. It was good. Right, where was that other one? Oh, somebody's back on it again, George. What's your best Bronco time?
Bronco, well, I can tell you that. That's 4 minutes 12 was my best ever. Pre-World Cup, yeah.
Okay, we'll have to come to you. What's your best Bronco time? Speak up.
I think I got 4:39 was probably my best. That was in it again. That was in the academy days. I think my last year in the academy, I got that. I haven't had that since.
I
range
think for a back
4:45, 4:50 zone on a good day.
Now we're kind of into pro rugby and stuff. And young Ferg is asking here, in training, do you train as backs and forwards, or do you just always train as a team?
We do both. So we usually in the morning we'll have a unit session, which will be backs while the forwards are in the gym, and then we'll swap over. And in the afternoon it'll be a team session where we all come together and kind of do a bit more structure and shape stuff before the weekend.
Good stuff. Someone's just asked me what I spent the 50p on that you won me. I'm pretty sure I put it in your bag, George.
No chance. Sorry for that.
You maybe should have a look. It might still be there.
Maybe.
Okay, some nice questions coming in. Obviously, they're talking about some new guys coming in. Here's a good one. Someone who is... I'm currently... Well, this sounds like your story, George. I'm currently in Belbaxter, play at the Howe of Fife, and I want to make the transition. What do you think is the biggest difference between Howe and Strathallan rugby?
I guess just getting more exposure to rugby. Howe's obviously a great club. I've got a lot of good things to say, but you only really train back when I was there. You only trained twice a week, whereas at Strath you had your three sessions a week plus all the little added kind of skill sessions that were put on, and then the S&C side of things as well. It's just the more exposure, and then just kind of having everyone available. If you were in the summer at night, if you wanted to just go down and pass the ball about or play a game of touch, there was always that opportunity to do so. So I think that was probably a massive bonus to go to Strathallan.
Nice one. I've got one more here, which I just want a quick answer to, Matt, because we're going to come back to it, obviously. How did you feel when the final whistle went on Saturday? Immediately, it's asking here.
Ecstatic, probably. Only word I could really say. Yeah, ecstatic.
Did it actually feel real, or?
It didn't really sink in, I don't think, because it didn't really sink in until maybe we were on the flight back or the next day. That I think it was like 47 years or something. Hadn't won at Twickenham, and it was probably the first big win in a Scotland shirt that I've been involved in, and it was just a ridiculous feeling at full time when Mish got the turnover and kicked it out, and it was ecstatic.
And one other very quick one, and this is a yes or no answer, because Xander obviously put this on last week and was on. Does Xander really beat you at golf all the time?
No. No. George could probably back me up on this. Probably not, no.
No, not all the time.
Okay, so let's go a little bit back to your stories. So debut for Glasgow, hopefully you can remember them. If not, I think I could probably help you. Let me know what that felt like the first time you're running out for a professional team, which is a completely different story because you've now literally signed a contract, I guess, and that is now your day job. So it's what you do to put food on the table, and how you're going to develop as you go forward in your working life. So how did that feel? Who was that against? Let's go with George first.
So my first professional game was against Ospreys at home. It was during a Six Nations period, I think, and I'd been away with the Sevens and come back in for it. So I was on the bench. It was an absolutely peeing with rain, blowing a gale at Scotstoun, as you can imagine. And it was Gregor's last year, and we'd kind of had a tough season. There was a lot of transition amongst the team, and yeah, it was strange. We weren't winning games as often as we had been previously. So coming into it, I was obviously bricking it, especially with the weather. I still can't pass very well, but back then it was dreadful. So yeah, I was just so focused on trying to give my best impression and have a good game. But that was me. Ospreys at home.
Ospreys at home, nice one, Matt.
Mine was Ulster at home. There'd been a few injuries, I think, in the back row. Simone Fabaro and Josh Strathallan were both injured. And I was sort of spent the whole week learning plays and going over the lineouts and everything, getting myself worked up and in the zone. I didn't really know how to sort of combat it coming off the bench. But yeah, I remember they were playing, I think it was Ruan Pienaar, it might have been his last game or something for Ulster. And 2 minutes to go. I was chucked on, and I was just thinking in my head, don't drop the ball, don't mess up a liner, don't do anything wrong. I got a tackle on Rory Best, and came off with the Glasgow cap. So yeah, it was a pretty proud moment. Mum and Dad were there, and I don't think Xander was playing, but he was there as well.
So in terms of family, because they're clearly really important, and just like boys at the school, it was one thing that was always renowned for here, the amount of parents that used to turn up at school. Nowadays, for your games, and obviously, Matt, your family home's a bit further away than Cooper is, but I've obviously been at Glasgow quite a few times, and certainly Gary and Hayes they're permanent fixtures by the looks of it. They always seem to manage to get there. And yourself, how much of a part did your parents play, both sort of school-wise and as you went into the big bad world yourself as a fully fledged pro, George?
Yeah, well, they played a massive part, I guess. Obviously, without them, I wouldn't have been able to come to Strathallan, and then first of all, which was kind of the first big step. And then, in terms of support, I can't fault anything. Rain or sun or hail or whatever, they're through at Scotstoun screaming their heads off, especially Mum. I think I can't remember them ever missing a home game, which is just testament to how much it means to them. And I can't really thank them enough. And Pete would say exactly the same. They've just been so supportive, and it's been so nice to be able to kind of share our stories with them and share our success as well.
Awesome, good, Matt.
Mum and Dad have been, obviously, as George said, pretty awesome in terms of being able to get me to go to Strath and giving me that opportunity. And then just sort of driving to and from, whether it be training camps. Obviously, having Xander doing different things when we were young, and I was doing a different age group as well. Like Dad was taking Xander to Edinburgh one morning, and then coming back and dropping me off in Aberdeen. Like, it was nuts. And then when we made our Glasgow debuts, Dad, it's a bit of a code head. Absolutely loves rugby. Doesn't stop talking about it. He's always through at the games when he can. He'll finish the night shift as a GP and then come. Sometimes, actually, it's a true story. Sometimes he texts me, or he used to text Xander and text me and asks if he can take the keys and have a nap on the couch before the game, because he's been driving in the morning. So he'll come through, get some lunch, have a nap, and then watch the game and then head back down the road. So they make a lot of sacrifices, but it's always real special to have them there.
Yeah, it was always great to have Jonathan at the school games. Never one to be shy to jump on the pitch if someone got hurt, and we were always really grateful that he was there. And never had to ask him He did that as the good bloke that he is. So it was good. Good year. Sorry?
Just wanted to be in the spotlight, that was it.
Right, I'm surprised I didn't see him at Glasgow running on from there. Here's something you could probably give someone here. So it's from Alison now. She's maybe asking on her own behalf or someone else, I don't know. As an ambitious rugby player like myself, I'm in the last years of schoolboy rugby, which doesn't make sense if it's Alison. Maybe she's asking for her son. What advice would you give for me after I leave school to work my way up to hopefully play for Scotland? Now, you've both done that. So have you got any pearls of wisdom that you can maybe give here, Matt?
Yeah, I think one of the main things probably, George has obviously had a whirlwind route to the top. He's managed to experience going down to London, the sevens there, and I think that if you don't get picked for an age grade team, I remember I missed out on my first ever under 16s team, and then if you don't get picked for that, or it's not just a clean sailing all the way to the top, and there'll be a few bumps in the road. I just think don't give up straight away. There's I think Finn Russell, what was he, 21, 22 when he first got picked up and playing at Stirling, and look where he is now. And there's plenty of other examples as well of guys sticking at it and playing for clubs and getting better and just keep working hard, and hopefully it'll reward you.
Ches is not a bad Dave Cherry. He's not a bad example. 29.
No, I think he's 30, is he not? Or is he 29?
Been a patient guy. Oh, has he had a birthday? I don't know. After 29. But definitely from that. Good, George, about you. And we discussed earlier before we came on just about an incident that happened to you playing football against Glenalmond. And it's good to talk about the bumps in the road because you've got to be able to handle them. And I remember a good friend of yours, both Chris Fazaro. I remember Fuzzy, when he didn't get picked the first time, he was ready to just jack it all in. Thank goodness he didn't, because he's been a great servant to both Glasgow and Scotland. So, but that's at that age. Just talk about some of the things that you thought about, because you missed out on something fairly significant that time, George, didn't you?
Yeah. So, at school playing football, managed to break my ankle. I think it was a couple of weeks before we played a warm-up fixture under 18s, which would then lead on to the European Championship. So I missed all that. But looking back, I would never say cause that as a reason for stopping doing all these other sports. I definitely encourage people to keep playing all sorts of sports, and because I think the benefits of doing that are massive. And obviously injury is a setback, but it taught me to kind of the setback of not going, it was never in my mind to kind of throw all away and think, that's it for me. It's just every injury is kind of an opportunity to come back better. And again, at the moment I'm out injured, and it's as frustrating as it is, especially watching the guys do so well in the weekend. It kind of it makes you even hungrier, to be honest, to get back and playing. So we don't kind of realise how grateful we are until you get these little setbacks.
I always recall the match against England at Stirling, Matt, when you hurt your finger, and there was a decision to be made. You could just play the rest of the matches that we had in front of us or get it fixed, but you only had a window of, I can't remember what it was. It was only a couple of weeks to get it fixed.
Yeah, it was like a week and a bit. I remember it. That was probably one of the biggest frustrating things that happened when I was younger. We were playing England at under 18s, and I was captain that game. And I remember holding on to Tom Curry's jersey to try and stop him getting off the scrum. And he goes and smacks man and rips it away. And my finger, I think it was this one here, it snapped the tendon in the middle, and my finger was like dangling like that. I couldn't do anything with it. And I thought it was a bit sore. I went over to the doc and I was like, "What's wrong with that? Like, I can't move it there." And then you just sort of strapped and be like, "Look, you've snapped your tendon there, but it's not going to get any worse. Like, you can play the rest of the game. It's absolutely fine." So played the rest of the game, and then came off. And I remember I was in my head, I was thinking, I'll just have to strap it for the next couple of weeks. The doc sort of came over and was like, "Look, you've got a window of about a week and a bit to get this fixed, otherwise it'll be permanent." So obviously everything in my head's going through and thinking, it's only a finger, and then I'm thinking, we're going down there, captain nice and massive opportunity, and if I don't do this, I don't know what will happen to my rugby career and stuff. And so I went and got it operated on after my mum told me that I'm not losing a finger. And I wouldn't regret it. It was a big setback, but I rehabbed it well. I remember I was in my claw, wasn't I, back at school?
Yeah.
Frustrated in the gym trying to do bench press when it was still had stitches through, and I was very frustrating at the time because it's such a small injury. That was a big decision. That was a tough one.
Yeah, and probably with both of you, these little setbacks, I would imagine, do help with the next one if there is one, because there's nothing quite like going through an experience and working through it. Albeit those two things are the first ones that you probably had yourselves, both with your ankle and with your finger, Matt. But I've no doubt that it helps you cope with these things later on. The weirdest thing I can remember about that one, Matt, was they used a shirt button to anchor some of the stitches or something like that on your nail, which just looked the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I woke up from surgery and one of my surgeon was quite crazy. She was a bit cuckoo. She was making these terrible jokes and came through and she showed me and she said, "Look at your finger now." And as you said, they used the old shirt buttons from the old surgical uniforms, and she managed to thread through the stitches through my finger, and it came out through my nail, and they twisted the stitches through the shirt button. So, I had that on my finger for a couple of months.
Yeah, that was interesting. Good question here. We've got from Callum. He's saying, for you guys, which player do you have the biggest rivalry with? George, who's your biggest rival at the moment?
It's a weird one because obviously you're the same guys in the same position for you at your club are kind of your rivals, but at the same time they're your teammates. So, you want what's best for the team, but at the same time you want to be playing and starting every game. So, I guess at the moment it's Ali. He's kind of he is first choice for Glasgow and Scotland at the moment. So, there's a rivalry there. We both get along as blokes, but we both want to be starting games. So we're doing our utmost to kind of prove that we should be the one to start.
Nice, good. Matt, with you?
Obviously in camp at the moment, you got guys like Blade and Gary Graham and Nick Hayden when he was in as well. Everyone wants to play. I'd say rival is probably the wrong word. Competition is probably the better one. Like as George said, they're your teammates. You want what's best for the team, and at the same time, you want to start and put your best foot forward. So, probably some of those guys.
Good, nice. We're going to skip right back to school here. Guys are wanting some of your experiences, obviously. Did you ever get detention at school? What was it for? And have you got any tips for getting out of it?
I never got detention. No. I was a good boy. Never.
Not one?
I was always... I was the one dishing out the punishments and making sure everyone was behaving, Hendo, if you can't remember.
I'm going to make sure. I'm going to ask some of the teachers. I'm sure some of them are on here laughing at the moment from that. Matt, did you ever fall foul?
I'm trying to think. Never detention. I think Mr. Glenn might have given me fatigues at one point for doing something stupid around the house or being up too late or something. Nickel was a bit of a prison at times. I don't think I ever had detention. Again, I was quite a good boy like George.
I'm going to go
Actually,
back.
I was just thinking.
Fatigued.
I had a few good run-ins with the Bursar if he's still here. usually at rugby we'd have some shouting matches, which is always quite funny. But we'd make up after. We'd kiss and make up, and it would always fine.
Yeah, it's always difficult getting old, and you young guys, you've got it, and we've completely lost it from that. Another good one here, and maybe not so much for you at the moment, though, George, is asking Matt, is it weird playing without a crowd?
We've sort of gotten used to it now. It's been a 6 months or so playing without a crowd. I think at the start it was pretty weird just because you obviously don't have that energy that's coming off the stands, and they were a massive part. But I think it sort of helped a lot of players in terms of getting themselves ready for a game mentally, and you know, not relying on having that noise, having that atmosphere there. But yeah, no, obviously we're all missing fans, and you know, they're a massive part of the game, and you know, I'm sure George will agree. We can't wait to have them back at Scotstoun.
Good. England's obviously coming up on the questions an awful lot here in terms of what happened at the weekend, because beating England at Twickenham is no easy feat for any team in the world, far less Scotland. But some of us do forget, George, you've actually done that already in the 7th. So 2017?
Yeah, 7th, yeah, I think so.
Final, because it was back to back, wasn't it? Because they beat South Africa, the boys beat South Africa in 2016, and in 2017, I remember watching that. It's a very condensed watch, obviously, because it's a shorter game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to remember, I think it was 7-0 at half time. So, in terms of winning against England, you're at Twickenham. What happened at half time to come out 7-0 down and then get a win?
I don't know. We kind of had that weird feeling the week before we'd got to the final in Paris, and a few things went wrong and we lost to South Africa. But yeah, we kind of just had that kind of, I don't know, yeah, just that feeling, you know, when you're going into games and you're just thinking we're going to win, we can do anything. We came back from 24-0 down against New Zealand in the quarter, and beat them, and then again against USA in the semi, and kind of everything was just kind of peaking towards this final, and it happened to be England. And yeah, we'd had a good record against them that all season. We kind of had the one up on them, and Norton, yeah. Oh, excuse me, that's my phone. Am I back? Yeah, Norton.
You're back.
He absolutely skinned me and chased him back, and he stepped me, and I fell over, and the whole crowd went wild, and they were up 7-0. And yeah, second half we just kind of dug in. It wasn't a great game to watch. It wasn't anything special. Kind of a classic Scottish performance. Yeah, we kind of all just grafted hard and managed to win. And I still say that was probably my favourite rugby experience to date. Was winning that, and it was just such a special way to end the season. That had been a tough season. So yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
You're very humble.
It is very humble.
That time in that game, I think it was, you tracked back after one of those boys broke the line, tracked back down the touchline, and then got your big
left-hand side.
Turnover.
I think that was the last turnover I ever got.
Yeah, well, it was ecstatic. I remember going absolutely so fast.
No, I agree with you, Matt. That won the tie, and I think I can remember at the time. I think it was Scott Hastings that was commentating, and he just kept talking about your engine and all that kind of stuff. And then literally after that, you had to chase. They were going down the right-hand touchline. You were corner flagging, literally old style, bronze.
Yeah.
As though you had released at the time, I have to say, because I can remember going mental. We're going to get penalised. And he came over and he blew his whistle, and I really thought the penalty was going to be against us. And when his arm went out the other way, I just about hit the ceiling. It was. So I don't know how you think it wasn't the best game, because it was a crazy week of results and stuff, and yeah, it was absolutely massive for you guys. And when you saw them all, and I remember James Fleming, I think, was one of the first guys who just jumped on your back, and it was carnage after that. It was absolutely brilliant from there. So that was one win at Twickenham, which was certainly a memorable one, and then clearly Saturday. Just talk about what was the actual thoughts before you went into that. You know, George had spoken about what had happened there and how they went into that game. What was the kind of the laying of the land by team and coaches and everything like that for Saturday?
Yeah, I think it was quite similar. I think we sort of went to the game with an underlying confidence, and belief that we could go down there and do a job and win. And it's a great team to be a part of at the moment. Everyone's with each other, and I think we just felt so comfortable throughout. Stuck to our defensive systems. We all knew our stuff, and we were all putting our bodies on the line. And I think that sort of showed in the first half when they had their big carriers coming down hard, and Boys like Rory Sutherland and George Turner and stuff were just emptying them and putting them back like time after time. And when they couldn't do anything else, they just kicked the ball back to us and just chucked it out to Doohan and hope but yeah, pretty awesome first half. And I think in years gone by we would have maybe slipped up in the second and come off the steam a bit, thought, we're ahead, this is our game. But instead, no, we came back out firing, yellow card on Finn, but managed to hold on to it despite the left-footed drop goal attempt. Managed to hold on to it at the end, and the whole place erupted, even though there was no fans.
Yeah, and the other thing for me that's quite bizarre is like George's, although George was there in 2017, not in 2016, but the Sevens had gone to London for that last series match, and back-to-backs, in such a tough place to go. And then if we look at the last time you guys were down in Twickenham, which was the craziest game we've ever seen in our lives, 31-0 down, and then come back and England steal a draw. Quite bizarre from the Sevens and the 15s element from Scottish Rugby, who, sometimes we get a bit, we take a bit of stick about how we play and what we are and stuff like that. But there must be something special in both the Sevens, the attitude that you guys had, George, and the attitude that you boys had on Saturday. So can you put your finger on something that was different in both areas?
Probably belief, I'd say. Obviously, I've not been in camp the last 2 or 3 weeks, but Glasgow have trained against them, and speaking to the boys, the training's just been kind of that step up, and there's this kind of quiet belief, and the boys know if they execute properly the game plan and things, that they can beat anyone. And I think that kind of came to fruition on Saturday, and the exact same could be said for us when we won with the Sevens. We played well the week before, and we all knew that we could do it. It was just that kind of inner belief from the whole squad. So I say that probably did have a big part to play.
Brilliant, good, Matt.
It's Scotstoun has been the underdog coming into these games, and I've had times in the past, playing for under-20s and stuff, where you play against England and you'd think, like we might do this. Like, I suppose, like, if we get off to a good start, like it's possible we might do this. Sort of all up in the air, and it's lucky if we win, and if we don't, it's expected. But I think going down there wasn't really a notion or a thought in anyone's sort of head that we were going down to win. Like, that was the bottom line. And I think as George said, the belief that we had in ourselves, and the one to lift a nation and stuff, and we had a lot of really good talks and stuff before, and I think that sort of spirit put us on to win.
Yeah, and I would totally agree on both your accounts that that was something that you both had when you were at school, because when I first arrived at school, that was probably one of the things that held us back. We kind of turned up and just played the matches, enjoyed ourselves, but that belief certainly wasn't there. And it was only latterly, as teams started to come through and develop, and we got more success. I don't know if you can remember the match at Merkerson, George. We actually drew it, but it was like a for us. We probably would have won that, bar one little thing that happened. George, can you remember what that was?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Do you
Is that me getting sent off?
You have 10 minutes to go and sit in the step.
No, that was bad.
At that point, we were absolutely bossing the game, and a lot of that was down to you. And then the next thing, boom, 10 minutes. And however, we got a draw, but it was like a win for us in terms of that. And that was the beginning of us not being, because I always thought that sometimes we were just scared to go to these places, and that destroys your belief. But we got to the stage where we weren't frightened to go anywhere, and we certainly weren't frightened of anybody coming to us. What about you, Matt? Do you remember any matches where, some of these bigger schools we'd never maybe beaten before, and we'd gone straight and gotten a win?
Trying to think. I remember we played George Watson's. It'd be my last year, and I was playing at 12, and we went to George Watson's, and they had a few of the sort of obviously massive school. You know, they've won a few years before. Actually, no, it was a different one. It was Josh's last year, and we played George Watson's. Was it the final or the semi-final?
Semi-final.
Yeah.
Murrayfield or?
Yeah, the back pitches of Murrayfield.
Yeah.
They had Robbie Nairn, who at the time was still 110 kilos, absolute mutant, and a few other really good players and stuff as well. And we were so close to winning that game. And I think the sort of, we were just so surprised, like when we were the last 10 minutes and we were like 2 or 3 points down, and it was just massive. You know, we could see how much it meant to us, that we were just absolutely devastated and played our hearts out. And that was probably the closest thing, I think.
Yeah, I can remember a couple of teams that I really thought deserved to go to a final. Definitely, that was one of them. That was one of the best teams. You know, even looking at our recent under-18 win, I would still kind of put, your team was definitely up there in terms of the quality of that team. But again, it depends on the opposition. Sorry?
Because Josh was playing.
No. Oh, well, no. That I had to put my hand up because I made a mistake that day in terms of how we potentially could have won that game. I had to confide that in the team after. I don't know if you remember that, but if we had gone for a draw, which was a kick, because we had so much pressure, if you remember, down at the railway end, and we just couldn't get enough momentum to get over the line. But literally, Josh had been practicing drop kicks all week, and all we needed was a drop kick. But I thought we needed the win, but that hadn't been explained to us. It'd been explained to George Watson's, unfortunately, but we didn't that. So I had to put my hand up to that one. But that was one of the best games. There was another game Jamie and Xander played in at the Beveridge Park. That was another colossal semi-final against George Watson's. But there was other magic moments. I remember the game we played against, you'll remember it, George, against Glennie. Had that rather large win. And I think Charlie Mearns, was that the one where I think he got injured. He got quite a bad injury to his ankle, didn't he?
Yeah.
And we all had this big team photograph after, just under the posts. And everyone was saying it's a real shame that Charlie wasn't in the photograph. However, in the photograph in the background is the ambulance going up the hill, and Charlie
taking him away.
So we said he's actually in the photograph. It's just that he's in the ambulance. But those were days when you had a free hand, George. I'd like to think I never put any shackles on you. And although the opposition had very little idea where you were going, most of the team in the Strath boys didn't know where you were going either. So we just had to follow you and get on there. So again, those are great memories from that. I want to take you now to maybe just before kind of pro rugby and talk about, because this is a goal and a target for lots of young players, which is under 20s rugby. And you spoke about your under 20s season. I remember the win against Wales. That was a particularly good win. And there was one question up here asking or saying, I've seen you kick, George, and you're a brilliant kicker. Why don't you kick for Glasgow? Because down in Wales, you had 8 from 8. I remember that. 5 penalties and 3 conversions, I think it was, which was a hefty thing. So kicking wise, why maybe as people not seeing you as a bit of a Laidlaw replacement?
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird because when I first moved to scrum half, I was obviously way behind in terms of the basics of scrum half passing and kicking. So I was practicing them so much, but I've always kept up my goal kicking, and I still do it after pretty much every session. So it's just kind of strange that I don't know if any of the coaches know that. They obviously know I practice kicking, but it was probably one of my biggest strengths back when I was younger. So when I first came into the team, I guess it was Adam Hastings was kicking. He's kicked really well, and If not, it'd be Pete kicking, so I couldn't really tell him to beat it and let him kick. So no, it's definitely something that I would like to have the responsibility of doing. But at the moment at Glasgow, we're fortunate we've got good goal kickers. So, but yeah, I mean, as I say, I keep practicing, and if the day comes that I'm needed, hopefully I'll be able to fill in and knock a few over.
Yeah, it would certainly add to which I think is really impressive. 14 caps, 32 points for Scotland, 60 caps for Glasgow, and 155 points. That's quite a total for that. Matt, don't look surprised, mate. You're not too bad. Unfortunately, no many points for Scotland at the moment, but that'll come. You're young. But Glasgow, 68 caps there and 12 tries.
Yeah, I think I'll just get on the end of them, really. I don't really for them or their 2 metre bursts. George is the master of support lines. So, yeah, he's racked up quite a tally. But yeah, no, I haven't had any wonder tries, really. They've just been finishes.
Well, you've got to get the ball over the line, so that's the thing. But I go with what you say about George, because I remember the one in the World Cup against Russia, which was a great day for you, because that was a hat trick, which very few people managed to do in any game, never mind a World Cup game. But talk me through off the line out, when that line out came and you pinched that one off them as they passed the ball through. When did you see that?
So yeah, that was just during the week. Matt Taylor, our defence coach at the time, we'd obviously previewed Russia, and they do that play from every 5 metre line out. They were doing a check ball had come down from the line out, pop it to the 9, and he'd throw quite a long pass. So I don't know if it was him that said to me, but I've always been desperate to go off the tail of line outs, even in open play, because guys like Cobus Reinach and Alex Mitchell in Northampton, they do it, and the amount of tries they score just from pinching it clean off the 9. So I don't know if it was Tatsy said to me, or if I went up to him and I said, look, Tatsy, there's a chance for us to steal that if you put me at the tail, because as soon as they come down and check, I can obviously get up and get in between the pass and the receiver. So yeah, it was analysis, really. It was nothing. It was all planned. It wasn't just, oh, we'll do this. It was kind of shows you the pros of doing your homework throughout the week, and yeah, ended up in a try for me, so I was buzzing.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. And as I said, 3 tries, pretty good in anybody's book from that. I suppose we're just going to sort of finish up on looking back at that game again on Saturday. One question I've got is, what actually happens after the matches now? If there's no maybe mingling or anything like that, do you see the team afterwards, the opposition, or is it just shower, bus, home?
Yeah, pretty much. It was just sort of, obviously, the Calcutta Cup presentation, and then, we'd done fist bumps with them, the England team, and then we were straight back in, a couple of beers in the changing room, and then shower, kit on, masked up, and on the flight home. Yeah, it was difficult because you can't really celebrate too much, but yeah, no, we had a couple of beers, and then managed to get on the flight back to the hotel, and then recover the next day, and yeah, get ready for Wales this weekend.
Good stuff. Okay, some quick fire questions then. Favourite ground that you like to play at, George?
Scotstoun.
Matt?
Thomond Park.
Thomond Park. Whoa, tough place to go. Any embarrassing moments that you'd like to share with us, within reason, in rugby?
I spat on myself at the weekend.
Oh, I was going to bring that up. You've stolen.
That was so good.
That was funny. I don't know if anybody else watching tonight saw it, but if you go on Twitter, it's been tweeted enough. I think you did. I think you thought you got away with it, but it was funny when it was pointed.
I glanced the TV camera out the corner of my eye and managed to see. I think after I was up. I hope they've caught up with it.
Any for you, George, that you can recall? You want to share?
Probably that one again in the final at Twickenham when Norton he stepped me so bad I fell over.
I remember that vaguely. That was a that'd be a pretty sick step that you put on you for you.
Or just my squeaky voice that you pick up on the ref mic sometimes. I'm always embarrassed by that.
I guess that's one thing. But okay, one more. When do you find out if you've been selected for a game for Glasgow or Scotland? Matt, when do you normally find out if you're in the team?
We find out, they probably pick the team on the Monday night. We find out, they have a little presentation, congratulations to all the boys in and stuff, and then just sort of talk about the week going ahead. Yeah, on the Monday. And
at Glasgow, George, when do you normally find out you're in the team?
Yeah, similar. It's usually Monday or Tuesday. Depends. If the game's Friday, it'll be Monday, and Saturday it'll maybe be Tuesday.
Okay, got one other question here. How do I get my team to pass the ball out to the wing when they hardly pass? A bit of coaching advice. What would you say?
Just run in and get it from the ruck.
So there
That's
you go.
what I do.
Yeah, don't bother waiting on it. Go and get it.
Yeah.
Why George ended up as a 9.
Exactly.
Oh, somebody's going on about Andy Good calling out your spitting incident, Matt. We've already done that. What's that one there? Okay, favourite try then. Someone's asking about a favourite try. So we'll get that one done and then we'll... Favourite try. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think.
I already know, mate.
Oh.
You go, Matt.
All right, Matt, if you've got yours.
Yeah. Exeter at Scotstoun.
Oh, yeah. That was an absolute beauty.
He always chucks me one right over his head, and I just managed to fall over the line again.
I do remember the one against Italy for the under-20s when you sneaked up the short side.
Yeah, that was a good one as well.
70 odd metres up with every Italian chasing you down. That was decent from that. Right, George, you got yours?
Probably my third try against Russia. Just, you see my face, I'm just absolutely elated. And then Jamie's obviously there. He's warming up. And just celebrating with him. It was just, that game was so much fun, and it was kind of just the conclusion of a long season. So yeah, that would be it.
It was very fortuitous because actually I watched it today. I looked it up because I thought, I was trying to remember because I'd actually forgotten what team it was, and I looked it up and it was quite funny just seeing Jamie being the first guy to latch on and you jumping up and down.
Yeah.
I've kind of seen that many a time probably as well in terms of that. Okay, so after rugby, this is the last question here. Have you had any plans on what to do after rugby or thoughts?
I'm taking your job.
You can have it. You can have it.
I'm going to produce an office with it.
Yeah.
I'll chuck in this office.
Well, I did PE teaching at uni for the year and a half that I was there, and I've kept up. I still do a degree at the moment part-time. So yeah, definitely think coaching or potentially teaching would be something I'd be interested in. So yeah, maybe give that a try.
I'd certainly use me as a reference. All the camps that you came to me, an absolute star on the camps, definitely.
Appreciate it.
That. Is your degree one of these that takes 8 years to pass because it's part-time or something? Is it one of those ones?
Yeah, it's a long. So I was lucky. I managed to get my credits transferred from my full time that I did at Edinburgh. So I'm actually in my final year this year, which is good. This is my 4th year of part-time. So I'll be relieved when it's done. Yeah,
it's always a long haul. Matt, what about you? You had any thoughts? You're very young into your career, but you've still done a lot.
I wanted to sort of go down the product design route, but obviously didn't manage to do uni and rugby at the same time. So I'm thinking hopefully trying to get a part-time course in that, as George has done as well, sort of doing product design and stuff like that. But yeah.
Excellent. So for all you young boys out there, remember, rugby can be a short career, okay? And you've got to be thinking beyond that. So do some work now. George gave us a good stab at the academics earlier on because he was such a studious boy, never got any detentions, always handed his prep on time, such a from that. So there's two guys who have done so well. You know, myself and everybody here are massively proud about what you guys do, and clearly remember your time here, which means an awful lot to us. So I just wish you all the very best. Keep doing what you're doing. George, get fit quickly, mate. I know you said it's 6 or 7 weeks, but hopefully you'll be back and you'll be causing havoc wherever you are, and challenging again for a place in that Scotland team, which I've no doubt you will. Matt, all the very best for the weekend. It's a great start, so let's keep it going. I really hope the boys are looking forward to Saturday, as we all are. It's the highlight of any lockdown weekend at the moment, live sport, so it's brilliant. And it just goes for me to say thank you so much for giving up your time. I hope everybody's enjoyed this, and that we will see you very soon in real life, rather than having to see you on a screen. Okay, thanks very much, guys.
Thanks for having us, Endo. Appreciate it.
All the best. Thanks, George.
Take care.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
You too.